Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday. Hey, baby, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fabulous. I've got a guest coming up later in the program, Sarah Bernard, going to be talking about Lays Throwback. It's a kind of a throwback thing that they're doing. There's a lot of different brands that have done that. Like our son was a big fan of the Crystal Pepsi throwback thing they did.
Oh, yeah.
And there's other brands that have done it. So Lays has a throwback thing they're doing. We're going to get all the details on that. Hey, did you know that zebras are actually black with white stripes? Most people think they're white with black stripes. I've always thought that. I don't know why. But they're black with white stripes. I didn't know that.
Okay.
This is even more bizarre. There's a place in Italy with a dedicated monument to people who are physically ugly but beautiful on the inside. What the what? There's a monument for that.
Where is that?
It's in Italy. So I'm not exactly
sure.
sure
What the monument looks like.
It's probably not so hot, but it's really nice on the inside. I have no idea. And then finally, a recent study says the U.S. leads the world in gun ownership with 9 guns for every 10 Americans. You know what that means? We just need 1 more gun each. That would be perfect. All right. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask. It's Friday, November the 4th. Today is National Chicken Lady Day.
Chicken Lady
Yeah,
Day.
I'm not sure what that means. It's National Candy Day. Oh, I know what that means. I just got in trouble from our daughter. Last night, I was out in our front yard, and I saw some kids had dropped some candy from Halloween. So I picked it up and was... I was walking in the kitchen. I was opening up some candy. She's like, "Where'd you get that?" I was like, "In the front yard." I got in trouble for eating candy
She's
from the
yelling
lawn.
at me.
You're
Mom,
eating lawn
Dad's
candy?
eating lawn candy.
Yeah. Hey, it was good. So trick or treat here next year, too. It's also Pumpkin Chunkin' Day. It's Use Your Common Sense Day. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. I did not have my mom check that candy first. It is also National Medical Science Liaison Awareness and Appreciation Day. That was a long thing to say. And it's Love Your Lawyer Day today. We should take our lawyer to lunch. You think that would be billable hours for him?
Probably.
All right, maybe we won't then. But we'll say thanks. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Legally, we gotta have insurance. That's why getting the very best rate is paramount. I'm Jared Parsons. I founded the first national and virtual insurance agency. Until now, you were limited to the agents in your area. But what if the rates are better somewhere else? At Parsons, we shop around and we get you the best rate. It's that simple. Go to radioinsuranceguy.com. That's radioinsuranceguy.com.
John and Heidi.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio. I'm a super dude? I don't know. You know how you can't use the word Super Bowl in any sort of advertising without permission? Yeah. Like you got to pay to do that. And same with Olympics. You can't say Olympics because those things are trademarked. Well, now you can't, if they get their way, can't use superhero either.
Okay.
Marvel and DC Comics have jointly filed a trademark on the word superhero. They claim they invented the word, so now they want to own it and prevent anyone else from using it without their permission. So independent comics would have to come up with their own name or pay a royalty if they wanted to utilize the word superhero. Or they just have to describe them in a different way. Here's the one thing that I got to say is, how often do they actually refer to them as superheroes? Like even, we'll go with Superman. Anywhere in the comic do they say he is a superhero? I mean, do they ever say that?
They don't really ever say that, no.
I don't think so either. So I think this is one of those things where it's kind of like an issue looking for a place to, rear its ugly head. I don't know that it's actually going to be, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I know like in the movies, they refer to them as like superhero movies, but it's never in the title of the movie. That's how critics are the ones that say that.
Well, then the critics would have to pay the royalties.
I don't know. Or they could just be less critical and call it, hey, it's a movie with a character that's got superpowers.
There you go.
What is another way to say superhero?
That would be the way to say somebody with superpowers.
Could you just say superpowers even think?
Unless they trademarked superpowers, but didn't say they trademarked superpowers.
No, they're trying to trademark superhero. So there you go. Superheroes for the super zeros there at Marvel and DC. And if you're a big fan of Marvel and DC, that's cool. I actually think they're kind of cool. I just think that's kind of wrong of them to say, hey, we want to trademark this name that's been around for, 50 plus years that we didn't care before, but all of a sudden our legal team said we should. Maybe we make some money on it. It kind of seems greedy. They're making enough dough right now. What do they need that for? All right. And it's true because you heard it on the radio.
John and Heidi.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
this is your brain on drugs. Getting drunk is bad enough, but skipping work because you're hungover, that's even worse. Lying about it when you're calling in sick is something that is just not good at all. Sydney, Australia is where this happened. A call center worker, Kyle Doyle, wanted a day off work, so he called in sick. That part of the plan went okay, but the 21-year-old sort of blew it when he posted an update on Facebook saying, Kyle Doyle is not going to work. I'm still trashed. Sicky woo. End quote. Sicky woo? Does that mean
That
something?
must be a thing. And
The boss happened to see this and called Kyle out on it. He then denied it until the boss sent him a screen grab of the page, realizing that, hey, it's all up. He replied back with an email, ha, 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 LOL, epic fail, no worries, man. Maybe some worries. The company's investigating, and Kyle has changed his Facebook status to, quote, trying to hide, unquote. Yeah, maybe you stay off Facebook if you're just, calling in work. He was really sick, though.
he was sick.
I don't know. Did you want me to come here and puke up all those
Right.
nachos? I could have done that if you wanted me to. Coming up, your moment of duh, that is on the way.
John and Heidi.
Now your moment of duh. I think this may be the first time ever I've read a story quite like this one. A Catholic nun has been sentenced to 6 months of supervision by courts and 30 hours of community service. You know what this, again, she's a nun, a Catholic nun. You know what she did? 66-year-old Sister Dorothy Toman.
What?
She pled guilty, so she did this. She wrote some white supremacist graffiti on the walls of a hospital where she worked as a chaplain. She's 66. She admitted to doing this in the emergency room area on the walls. And this happened in Joliet, Illinois. She said,
My.
I did it to see how the hospital administrators would react. She said the experiment worked. She did find out how they would react.
Yes, she did.
They fired her. She's got 30 hours of community service.
Oh, my.
She's a sweet little 66-year-old nun.
I don't know how sweet she is.
I don't know what she wrote on the walls, but it wasn't good from the sounds of it. Coming up, we've got your scoop of the day. That is on the way.
The Scoop of the Day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now your scoop of the day. Arby's is going to start testing venison burgers in select markets. Have you ever had venison burgers?
I haven't. What is that? Is that
Deer.
Okay, it's deer.
Yeah. When I was growing up, we were deer hunters, so I've had plenty of venison burgers. And they're good. If you're into that kind of thing. You know what they taste like? Tastes like chicken. No, they don't
does
really.
not
No,
taste like chicken.
That's what everybody says about everything, though. They're like, "What's it like?" Oh, it tastes like chicken. This doesn't really. It kind of tastes like beef, though. Hey, a woman in Fayetteville, North Carolina, completed a half marathon, which that's not news in itself, right?
Right.
But she was pushing a stroller with her triplets in it.
Oh.
That's kind of cool. Does not say in the story how old the triplets are. I wonder if they're like 15. That would be really impressive. Not 15 months. I mean 15 years. Hey, they got a strange way of saying thank you in China. A guy was hospitalized because his friend beat the snot out of him. Guess why?
Why?
The friend was mad because he paid the bill at the restaurant.
Oh,
And he
wow.
said, no, I wanted to pay. He goes, no, it's already covered. It's done. And they got in a fight so bad he was hospitalized.
Wow.
You should just let him get the bill next time. I'm just saying. An Arizona man was being chased by the police, and he was interrupted when he got a little hungry and decided to hit a drive-through. Do you think he called ahead and I'll be speeding through in a minute. I need to get my order. If he's on a high-speed chase and he stops
you'd
at
think
a
they would have
drive-through,
caught him at that point.
I would hope so.
I'm assuming they did.
Now we go from police officers to firefighters in New Zealand. A firefighter there was injured in the line of duty while trying to rescue a cat from the tree. cat and the firefighter both fell from the tree, and the firefighter had to be flown to a hospital. So the good news is I got your cat out of the tree. The bad news is we're going to need to call 911 now.
That's too bad.
Can we use your phone? Yeah, it is too bad. I think that's awful. That happened again in New Zealand. That's down by Australia. So I wonder if when they fall, do they fall up there since it's on the...
Oh, my goodness.
No, probably not. In a surprise victory at the box office over the weekend, I only have to bring this up again because I'm still amazed at this. Second week in a row, Tyler Perry's Boo, a Medea Halloween, has topped the box office.
I do not get that.
Listen to this. It beat Tom Hanks' new Dan Brown adaptation, Inferno.
Well,
and there were a couple others.
But I don't want to see that.
But I'm
either.
saying, for whatever reason, it was number one for the second straight week. Now I kind of think I got to go see it. I don't know. Hey, Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds, they're going to be in a big box office film coming out together here. I like Jake Gyllenhaal. I like Ryan Reynolds. So they're co-starring in a movie called Life. The trailer hit the internet Monday. Life comes out Memorial Weekend, tells a story of the 6-member crew of the International Space Station on the cutting edge of one of the most important discoveries in human history, the first evidence of extraterrestrial life on Mars.
Does it really matter what it's about? I mean, it could just be a silent film with those two in it, and I would still go and see this film.
If you'd like to see that trailer, by the way, I've got it linked on our Facebook page, because here's the thing. When you got two good-looking dudes like that, why wouldn't I put a video like that on our Facebook page? I mean, that's clickbait right there, isn't it? I'm pretty sure it is.
Awesome.
All right. My wife, by the way, absolutely loves Ryan Reynolds.
Oh,
I mean,
Ryan is.
And I can understand that. He's adorable.
Perfect.
And there's some movies that he's in that we've watched. So far, there's only one that we've watched that he's in that wasn't a good movie. I don't remember the name of it, but he was like a killer in the movie. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. That
it
one
was
was
such a
weird.
I was like, why did he do this movie?
Yeah. He had
All the way
like
through.
severed heads in his refrigerator.
It was just weird. I'm like, what? Why? How did we end up
Yeah,
rating
it was
this?
weird. But...
Right.
It really, again, didn't matter.
She was still fine. She's like,
I wasn't really paying attention.
minus that awful plot, the stupid story. I mean, the terrible special effects, but Ryan Reynolds, so I'd probably read it again. And our final story, the price of homes in China is continually on the rise, but one woman found an ingenious way of being able to afford one. The woman was able to convince 20 of her boyfriends, how many does she have, to purchase iPhone 7s for her. Upon receiving the gift, she turned around and sold all of them and used the money as a down payment on a house. So she has 20 boyfriends. They each bought her an iPhone 7. She sold them all and put a down payment on a house in China. There you go.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure what that's all about. Coming up here in a bit, we have a guest. We're going to be chatting with, well, I will. Heidi always leaves. I'll be chatting with Sarah Bernard, and we're going to be talking about some Lays Throwbacks. It's going to be fun stuff. It's on the way.
John and Heidi.
Election day is almost here. No matter which side you're rooting for, you now have a place to get informed and to truly voice your opinion at PoliticalStorm.com. An amazing resource with information from people on both sides of the aisle, all in one place. Watch videos, read blogs, listen to podcasts like mine, and read fun editorials. You can also contribute with your own blog for free. Be a part of the community at PoliticalStorm.com. You have a choice, and now you have a voice, too, at PoliticalStorm.com. That's PoliticalStorm.com. Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We've got a special guest joining us right now, Sarah Bernard. She's a writer, producer, on-camera talent, and the original host of The Thread on Yahoo, a web series about celebrity style. And what we're going to talk about today is all these cool trends. It seems like things that were cool when we were kids, all of a sudden they become cool again. So the good news is, if I hang on long enough, I might be cool again. We've got Sarah on the line right now. Sarah, how you doing?
I'm great. That's exactly right. If you just stick it out, you're going to be back in style.
So how long do we need to wait until I'm cool? I don't think any of us have that kind of time.
No, but you know what? I think the fun thing about the fact that throwback everything is so popular right now is it doesn't have to be something literally from like 3 decades ago. You know, it could be something from a week ago or 6 months ago or even. So it's just more like we're having like a nostalgia for nostalgia moment.
Well, if you go to the movies, you're going to see things like there was just another version of Jurassic Park that came out. There was a Ghostbusters that came out. There's several things. About a year or 2 years ago, there was a Footloose from the 80s that was kind of a reimagining. Why is it that we're seeing all of this stuff on the big screen?
I think whether it's a big screen or whether we're talking about the fashion runways or TV, I think there is just this craving for things that are familiar because we're living in a very fast-paced time where things are really unpredictable, and things that are familiar just feel comfortable. It's literally almost like comfort food. And then you get to share those familiar experiences on social media, with Throwback Thursday, Flashback Friday, and say to your friends, oh, remember when we saw that movie? Remember when we wore that, crazy outfit? And it really connects us and kind of builds a sense of community at the same time. So I think there's a real deep kind of longing for that.
And I think one of the things that people really like is, it's comfortable. I know what it is. I know we've been down this road before. We know what to expect. But sometimes when they come out like the Ghostbusters, they spent a lot of money on that movie, and then it kind of fell short because the expectations were so darn high. But, usually when you bring something back that's been popular in the past, Star Wars, I guess another one that was just on the big screen, usually you have kind of this instant success, don't you?
Well, I think you have a lot of interest, first of all, right? Because you're not marketing something from scratch. We all know what Star Wars is. We're all really excited to see it. But you have to bring something more to it. You can't literally just do the same thing, word for word, or maybe even in terms of fashion, you can't wear the same thing in exactly the same way. You have to have a little bit of a twist to it that makes it current. So I think what we're seeing right now, I'll just use fashion as an example. There's so much 1990s fashion happening right now, like bomber jackets are back, and Doc Martens, and choker necklaces, and high-waisted jeans, but they're actually being worn with a little bit of a twist. Like, for example, the choker necklaces are a lot thicker and more of like a statement piece with a lot of, let's say, embellishment on them, whereas in the 90s it was much more of like a thin ribbon. Do you think back to like Beverly Hills 90210 or Melrose Place? You could probably picture that. So even like the Doc Martens, instead of just wearing it with this full combat boot look, it's like more like people are wearing them now with dresses, something more feminine. So these are throwbacks, but they have to bring something else to it. They have to bring a little bit of a modern spin, or you're right, it's not going to be very well received. People will just say, oh, I've seen this before. It's not so fun.
And these throwbacks are not just on the big screen or on the television or in fashion. Some of these throwbacks are also finding their way in the grocery stores as well. I have a son that wasn't even alive when Crystal Pepsi was a thing, and when they reintroduced it, he couldn't wait to try it. And something else that's out now is the folks from Lays have opened their flavor vault to bring back some limited edition throwback flavors. Tell us about that.
That's right. Especially food. I think there's nothing that makes people go on social media more than sharing their food passions and their food nostalgia. And a great example of this is Lay's All-Star program. They are bringing back 3 All-Star flavors from the Flavor Vault, which means that these were all fan favorites that were off the shelves for a little while that, Lay's realized we missed. And they are now, for a limited time, though, treating us to them. So I'm very excited about the fact that from now until November 14th, we'll get to have chicken and waffles, if you remember that one.
Yeah.
Smoked Gouda and chive, and also wavy truffle fries. So these were all things that, we knew and loved, and we get to spend a little more time with them, which is great.
I think that's really cool because there are things that I remember growing up, and some of those things had to do with foods like that, my kids never had a chance to experience it. So now we can experience that together for the first time, and I think that's really a cool thing.
Yeah, and one of the other things that I love about this program is that it's really interactive. In one way you can participate is obviously by enjoying these yummy flavors, but you can also win things, and how cool is that? You can win a year of Lays. Maybe your son would actually enjoy having that along with his soft drinks. Or you can win cash and other prizes, and you can do this a number of ways, including social media. You can go onto Lay's Facebook page on Thursdays between now and November 14th. You can tune in to their Facebook Live programming and find out how to enter and win every hour. Or when you pick up specialty Lay's products at your local retailer, some of them have a secret code on them, and you can text that code to CHIPS, which is 24477, spells out the word CHIPS. And from there, you can find out how to enter and win. So there are lots of opportunities to kind of make it into a little bit of a game, which I like.
That's awesome. And, think about this. The first time these flavors were around, even if you said .com, nobody would have known what that was. But social media certainly didn't exist. So it's really cool now taking these classic flavors and these classic things and putting the social media twist on it. I think, that's one of the reasons I think all this stuff is coming back.
Yeah, and I think it's also about Lay's being really responsive to what the fans want, which is another thing that I like. So you can actually go on to LaysFlavorAllStars.com right now, and you can vote to say which one of these all-star flavors is your favorite. So you might get to have like a comeback of a comeback.
That's awesome.
So it's the social media aspect is a way to really, express what the fans want. And they listen.
Again, our guest today is Sarah Bernard, and she's a writer, and she's a producer, and she was the original host of The Thread on Yahoo. And what is the website, once again, for this Lays, this fun thing they're doing with Lays, where we can go and try some throwback flavors? How do we find that online?
You can go to LaysFlavorAllStars.com, and that gives you all the good info.
Awesome. Sarah, thank you for chatting with me.
Thanks, John. Have a good day.
You do the same. Again, Sarah Bernard is our guest, and if you'd like to know more about that, I'll throw a link on our Facebook page as well. We'll make it real easy. Facebook.com/John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Are you ready for Duel? Kyle Dowling on guitar, Brett Gunderson on bass, Sam DeVito on drums, and frontman Duel Shane.
Gotta keep rocking, gotta keep sucking, bringing it down like rain.
Duel's new single just hit iTunes and it's selling fast. Get your copy now.
You're lacking chains and you feel no pain. Supernova gonna get you too.
Their first single, Supernova, is available now for less than $1. Learn more and find a direct link to buy Supernova at facebook.com/Duel Rocks.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The state of Louisiana has no counties. A lot of states have a county. They have parishes, no counties there.
Oh, yeah, I knew that.
Yeah. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
There's only one coffee-producing state. Which state is it that produces coffee?
I don't know.
Hawaii. Yeah, they produce coffee.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There are a lot of states where they what do you call it? Where they roast.
I did not know they grew.
Yeah, you can grow coffee there.
Coffee.
But there are a lot of states where they roast coffee. One other state thing here. Maine is the only state in the United States with one syllable name. We talked about that one.
I think we have.
A month ago. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Mercury is the only metal that is a liquid at room temperature. Monrovia, Liberia in Africa is the only... Let me see. It's named after a U.S. president, James Monroe. It's the only foreign country to have a capital named after an American president.
Really?
Yeah. And our final fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Teeth are the only parts of the human body that cannot repair themselves. So everything else, if you get cut, it'll heal, but you break off a tooth in 4th grade like I did, it ain't growing back. It ain't ever coming back. Coming up here in a bit, we've got some old wives' tales. That's on the way.
John and Heidi.
Legally, we gotta have insurance. That's why getting the very best rate is paramount. I'm Jared Parsons. I founded the first national and virtual insurance agency. Until now, you were limited to the agents in your area. But what if the rates are better somewhere else? At Parsons, we shop around and we get you the best rate. It's that simple. Go to radioinsuranceguy.com. That's radioinsuranceguy.com.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday. I never quite understood the title, Old Wives' Tale. What does that mean? Why do they call them that? Well, that's an old wives' tale.
I don't know. Probably because old wives always said it.
But, I don't know. I've got some for you here. It's an old wives' tale that dogs' mouths are cleaner than humans' mouths. That's not true.
I have heard that.
I've heard that too, but it's not true. A canine mouth contains 53 types of bacteria. A human mouth has 37. So think twice before smooching the pooches out there.
I should quit sharing my ice cream cones.
You should. I've been telling you that for 17 years. Reading in dim light will ruin your eyes. No, that's not true either. According to the American Academy of Ophthalmology, you can wear out your eyes by using them, and you cannot, rather, wear out your eyes by using them in poor light. Toads will give you warts. That's also false. Skin glands of a toad secrete a substance that can give you hallucinations, but the slimy, toxic gunk will not cause warts. If you crack your knuckles, you'll get arthritis.
Stop it.
Why? Because I'm going to get arthritis?
Because, yes, and your hands are destroyed, and you know that. And your sister does the same thing, and her hands are destroyed.
My hands are sore.
So don't you guys try to say that this one is a wives' tale because you've both proven it wrong.
Listen here. While certain repetitive actions can lead to arthritis, knuckle cracking is not one of them.
That's a bunch of malarkey.
No, it's other stuff that I do, like typing and, other stuff.
Both of your sister doesn't type
She
ever,
does
and
too.
she's got.
If you cross your eyes, they'll stay that way. That's not true either. Stigmatisms don't do that if you cross your eyes and somebody smacks you on the back or whatever. Arthritis flares up in wet weather. No matter how much you and I both agree with it, they say it's not true.
Well, they're wrong.
Well, they're scientists. And we're not. Spicy foods create stomach ulcers.
Do you believe everything scientists say?
I'm just telling you the wives' tales that are wrong. Spicy foods do not really create stomach ulcers. Walking under a ladder is not bad luck. An apple a day does not keep the doctor away. And chocolate does not cause acne. All of those, I could have gone into detail on those, but we're running out of time. Coming up, we're going to talk about Jack Sprat, kind of, sort of. It's on the way.
John and Heidi.
If you're a business owner or the person in charge of advertising, I have a special offer just for you. We're doing a jingle special this month. Did you know that when you put words to music, they're 9 times more memorable? How would you like to be the name in your industry and have people singing your song? We've worked with hundreds of small businesses to create their own musical image, and we want to help you too. Reach out right now and we'll give you $500 off. Squeeze it into this year's budget and get results for years to come. Learn more and hear examples at RadioReallyWorks.com. That's RadioReallyWorks.com. Do you remember the story of Jack Sprat?
I have no clue who
He
Jack
lived in a
Sprat
giant
is.
pumpkin. You don't know what I'm talking
No.
about here? Okay, well, most people do. Is it a Grimm fairy tale? I don't know. It's one of the fairy tales. Anyway, there may be kind of sort of a real Jack Sprat now. It's not his name, I'm sure, but a family has won a court order in Germany to allow them to continue living in a giant pumpkin.
But it'll rot. I mean, we had one sitting on our front porch for a week, and it was disgusting.
This family has lived in an 8-foot-high pumpkin for 3 years.
How is that even
They
possible?
apparently took better care of it than we did.
I wonder what they did to the inside.
City,
We
I
should
don't know.
call them.
No, we shouldn't. They sound like they live in a pumpkin. They're crazy. The city tried to get them to move, saying the pumpkin did not meet local housing ordinances. The judge told the city, leave that family alone. So the judge said, no, they can live in that pumpkin as long as they want to live in that pumpkin. That just doesn't even sound like a real thing. It's like Bizarro
I just
World.
don't know how on earth that's even possible.
I don't know either. But
as
it
soon
happened
as you
in
carve
Germany.
them, they start to rot.
They probably put some sort of lacquer on it or something. I don't know. I have no clue. Coming
got
up,
the inside all sheetrocked.
it's a pumpkin. Yeah. Put wallpaper up yesterday. All right. Coming up, we're going to talk about Clinton and Trump. Got something interesting to chat about in a bit.
John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We go out of our way to not talk about politics on this program, even though my wife would probably like to most of the time.
Except for today, apparently.
No, today we're not talking about politics. We're talking about something that's actually kind of interesting. Do you look more like Donald Trump or do you look more like Hillary Clinton? We're not talking about who you're going to vote for on Tuesday, or some people have already voted. But who's your presidential candidate look-alike? A new website. Listen to this. A new website uses facial recognition software to match your face with the two people that are in the top spots for president based on your looks. It's easy to use. You upload a photo and you wait a few seconds for your results, and then you'll be given a percentage for each candidate. So you're, this many percent to look like Donald Trump and this many percent.
Who cares?
I'm going to upload you just to see if you look like either of these candidates.
Who cares?
Do you think you look like either of the candidates?
No.
Okay, well, we'll find out. And I'm gonna share that on our Facebook page. I also have a link, by the way, if you want to check it out and see which candidate you look more like. Don't let this sway your vote, by the way. Vote for who you want for.
This is the most ridiculous thing
But
ever.
you know what? We've got technology now to do the dumbest things, and we're going to do it.
Wow.
So check this one out at Facebook.com/John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Election day is almost here. No matter which side you're rooting for, you now have a place to get informed and to truly voice your opinion at PoliticalStorm.com. An amazing resource with information from people on both sides of the aisle, all in one place. Watch videos, read blogs, listen to podcasts like mine, and read fun editorials. You can also contribute with your own blog for free. Be a part of the community at PoliticalStorm.com. You have a choice, and now you have a voice, too, at PoliticalStorm.com. That's PoliticalStorm.com. Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday. It is about that time of year where, we're starting to get cold, and there are places that have already gotten snow, believe it or not. And there's a video And this is from Alaska, where they have snow and ice. And this video has a 15-foot river monster. Have you seen this video?
No.
I was watching it a little bit ago, and you were yelling at me for not doing my work. Remember that?
Yes.
You're like, what are you doing over there? We got work to do. I was like, yeah, I'm doing my work. I just have an awesome job. That's all. Well, if you'd like to see the video, I've got a link to it on our Facebook page. We'll give you that here in a second. But there's a video that appears to show a mysterious 15-foot monster swimming in the icy waters of the Sheena River in Fairbanks, Alaska.
Really?
It's gone viral online. The video was captured by Craig McCaw, who works with the Bureau of Land Management, BLM, in Alaska. If you watch long enough, you'll see either a slithering monster or maybe just chunks of ice that are somehow attached. I'm not exactly sure what it is.
Oh, so it wasn't a good video. It wasn't like a close-up video where you could see the...
It is a very close-up video.
Features of a monster or anything.
You could see what looks like chunks of ice, but it looked like it was swimming. It didn't look like just floating down. It had kind of the curvature as it's going through the water, like a serpent. So, I don't know. I can see why he noticed it, and I can see why he pulled out a camera and started shooting video of it. If you'd like to see it, again, I've got a link to that on our Facebook page, and the video is on there, and it was hard to get it to go just to that video. It kept wanting to go to this Bureau of Land Management page, so apparently they have their thing set up. I had to outsmart it, and I'm not very good on social media, so that took a while, but it's on there. Facebook.com/John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always try to wrap things up around here with some good news, and I'm sharing this as good news because I just think it's time that we have some good news. And there's a lot of bad news out there that we could share. There was a terrible tragedy when it comes to police officers that happened in Des Moines, Iowa this week. That was so sad. And this is actually good news, bad news for a police officer.
Okay.
Let me explain. An officer gives himself a citation for running a red light.
Oh.
Listen to what happened here. An officer in a small city of Haines City, Florida, ran a red light. He said he was on his way to lunch, making a left turn, when the light turned red while he was in the middle of the intersection. After seeing video evidence of his crime, Officer Tim Glover turned himself in to his boss and wrote himself a ticket.
Huh.
He didn't have to do that. I mean, he'd have gotten away with it. Who would have ever said, oh, hey, you know what? That guy ran a red light. Anyway, he knew that he did it. He knew he did something wrong, and he said, hey, you know what? I didn't mean to, but I ran a red light. So I gave myself a ticket, and here it is. Glover wants people to know most cops are honest, and most cops do the right thing, and most cops are willing to pay the price if they make a mistake on a lunch break like he did. So he made the mistake, and he gave himself a ticket. I think that's really cool. Speaks very highly of this man, doesn't it?
Absolutely, it does.
Because to me, character is built when you could get away with something, but you don't attempt to get away with it because you still know it's wrong. There are times that I could have gotten away with something, and I decided, you know what, I'm not going to do that because it's not right. And I've even had people say, are you for real? I mean, I would have never known that. Remember we went to a bank one time, and I made I'm trying to think what we did. We made a deposit, and when they sent the little slip back, they showed that the money went in my account, but in that little envelope, they put the money back in there.
Yeah.
And I went back. I was like, hey, I think you're going to miss this later. And the lady's like, oh, wow, thank you for bringing that back. But, I could have just kept going.
Yeah.
So this guy, same thing. He could have just taken off and not done anything, but he decided, I did something wrong. I'm giving myself a ticket. I think that's cool.
That is cool.
Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you so dang much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday.